Look at this map. By the year 2027, the Chinese government intends to execute a complete, frictionless takeover of Taiwan. For decades, the global assumption has been that the island is safe. The expectation is that a united coalition of the United States, Japan, and South Korea acts as an impenetrable shield. But the physical reality on the ground is shifting. The United States military is moving its crucial anti-aircraft and missile defense systems out of the Asian theater, relocating them to manage escalating crises in the Middle East. China isn't rushing into a frontal assault. They are waiting for their primary rival to become so entangled in peripheral conflicts that a rescue mission in the Pacific becomes logistically impossible. To understand the pressure on American resources, look at this image of the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's a multi-billion-dollar United States aircraft carrier recently deployed to the Persian Gulf to project naval power. While the carrier sat in the Gulf, Chinese satellite intelligence tracked its exact coordinates and passed that data directly to Iranian forces. Using those coordinates, Iran launched a wave of saturation drones. As seen here, these are cheap, low-tech, unmanned aircraft launched from improvised desert trucks. They are designed to overwhelm sophisticated radar by forcing it to target hundreds of low-value objects at once. The American warship was forced to retreat, sailing over 1,000 kilometers away from the threat zone just to get out of range. This forced retreat reveals a critical resource gap. To maintain this defense in the Middle East, the U.S. has already had to pull Patriot missile systems from its bases in South Korea, creating a zero-sum game where protecting one ally leaves another one exposed. Which brings us back to the Asian theater. Why is Beijing so focused on this specific island? The answer goes back to the Chinese Civil War. This is an archival portrait of Mao Zedong, the communist leader who eventually won that internal conflict in 1949. And this is Chiang Kai-shek. When his forces were defeated by Mao, his administration fled across the strait to the island of Formosa, modern-day Taiwan, taking the entirety of the nation's remaining wealth and the finance ministry with them. Because of that exodus, Beijing looks at Taiwan's current status as an independent tech hub and sees an unresolved historical theft. To them, it is stolen money and stolen land that belongs to the mainland. But if China does launch an invasion, logic suggests proximity allies like Japan or South Korea would immediately intervene to stop it. That's where North Korea comes in. Here we see leader Kim Jong-un walking past a massive ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile designed to deliver nuclear warheads across vast distances. China heavily funds this regime to act as a localized, heavily armed proxy. This creates a geopolitical hostage situation. If Japan attempts to mobilize its military to defend Taiwan, North Korea is already positioned and funded to threaten Tokyo directly with nuclear strikes. By propping up North Korea with cash, China freezes regional powers in place, ensuring their silence without having to deploy its own soldiers. This map illustrates China's string of pearls strategy, a methodical blueprint to encircle the Indian subcontinent and control vital shipping routes. They achieve this through debt-trap diplomacy. China issues massive infrastructure loans to developing nations, knowing they can never realistically repay the interest. Look at this facility. This is the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka. When the Sri Lankan government defaulted on its Chinese loans, Beijing converted that debt into a 99-year territorial lease, giving them total control of the port. The exact same financial infiltration is happening right here at the Chittagong port in Bangladesh, establishing another logistical foothold. And this is the Gwadar port in Pakistan. Through aggressive infrastructure buyouts, China has purchased dual-front ocean access, completing the encirclement. Beijing is systematically securing these maritime chokepoints by converting unpayable debt into long-term leases, legally pushing Western influence out of the Indian Ocean. Every acquired port and every funded proxy state serves a single unified purpose, creating a totally unobstructed path to invade Taiwan. Because controlling Taiwan means controlling this. What you're looking at is a semiconductor silicon wafer. Taiwan manufactures the overwhelming majority of the world's most advanced microchips. These foundries produce the high-end processors that power everything from consumer AI to precision-guided missiles. Whoever controls this island effectively owns the global supply chain. This strategy relies on the patient exhaustion of a rival. By forcing the United States to chase proxy threats across the globe, China can simply wait for the moment when the Pacific shield is too thin to hold. As the United States scrambles to put out fires across the Middle East, China waits in the east for the trap to close, and the clock to 2027 is loudly ticking.